Welcome back to Low Budget Entertainment. We're your hosts. I'm Andrew.
I'm Bubba.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Spider-Man.
And today, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or the name of the video, we're going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War, which is a film. Let's just get right into it. Spoiler alert.
Spider-Man fucking dies.
That's correct. And we started with Spider-Man dying, along with 90% of the characters. If you guys want to start from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it
picks up seconds after the post-credit scene in Thor Ragnarok. Gets pretty heavy quick with MCU staple Loki dying in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was right off the bat. I was kind of just questioning their choices.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of like, wow, that's a direct connection to Ragnarok. I almost felt like Black Panther shouldn't have been in between, if that makes sense at all. Like
it was so soon though. It was late 2017 when that came out.
I know, but it just kind of felt like that's such a.
I feel like even though, my girlfriend went to see it with me. She has seen literally 10 to 15% of MCU movies. Period. She's only seen like 2 or 3, and she liked it a lot, and she didn't really feel confused. Like obviously there's stuff she didn't know, but we were talking about it today, and she wasn't really bothered by it. She was a little confused, but she started learning things about Thanos immediately in that scene, and I think everybody does. And I don't feel like it was a bad decision.
Just had echoes. That's weird. No, like I said, it wasn't a bad idea. It was just interesting. I thought that was kind of an interesting choice. I kind of questioned it at first. I wasn't thinking about me. It was kind of just for like people that hadn't. But at this point, if you haven't seen these movies, why are you watching the 19th installment where everyone's coming together? So you can't really punish them for that. But you start off right away with a big universe death with Loki, which
one of the biggest fan favorites.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to my girlfriend about. She was like, I've never been one of those girls that the only reason I watch these is for Loki. But she's like, I know a lot of people are going to be very upset about this. Which, like, I've never been the biggest fan of Loki. I like him, but he was expendable to me. I thought his death was pretty, what's the word? Like, meaningful. Like, it had a big impact for sure throughout the entire movie.
They weren't killing off some character that everybody was like, who cares? It was like, we mean business. And that was before the name of the movie even came on the screen. They were saying, we mean business.
Right. And the one thing I will say about that, and I'm not meaning to sound complaintive, if that's a word, I don't know. Because I did love this movie. But I thought you could see the impacts of how it affected Thor throughout the movie. I just did think, it was a 2.5-hour movie. I kind of felt like it was a little quick, the death of Loki. Maybe that's me. What did you guys have?
Well, think about how long that scene actually went on. I mean, we had a Thor versus Thanos fight before that even happened.
Thor and Hulk versus Thanos.
Hulk.
Thor tried to do something, but it was
Hulk versus Thanos right off the bat to wake you up, and then that probably went by quick in all our minds.
Yeah. No, I was a big fan of how quickly they really got into the meat of the movie. And, you have to when you have so much that's going on.
So much going on.
Especially...
Heimdall, too, yeah.
Yeah,
Which, who's never been a major character.
No,
but it was like, it's Idris Elba, so that's meaningful enough.
Yeah, so I loved the start, and what's the next major plot point?
Well, I loved him shooting Hulk
through
the Bifrost to Doctor Strange. That was neat. Speaking of which, Doctor Strange was great in this movie.
Fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And I, once again, didn't really care for the Doctor Strange standalone movie. It was all right. I saw it in theaters. Haven't seen it again, but...
Yeah, I disagree. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I remember it making quite a bit. I think it just, those at this point, the standalone movies to me are kind of like in the way of... It's just like filler for stuff like this or Civil War or... that's just me. But.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I thought Doctor Strange was one of the stealers of the show.
Oh yeah.
And from there, you've got Tony Stark back with Pepper. They're engaged, which was hinted at the end of Homecoming. And then
it was good to see them back together, and not having Spider-Man right there.
Yeah, kind of like forced on, like tacked on at the end. And then Doctor Strange shows up and kind of gets the plot going. He needs Tony's help. And then he doesn't call Spider-Man. That's when the ship shows up and Spider-Man shows up. And it's all... From then on, it's basically one long action sequence.
And it is, yeah. Seriously, the whole movie is almost one big long action sequence. If we're just talking about plot points and things about the movie in general, one thing I think is interesting. So I read before the movie. It wasn't like a spoiler review. It was just somebody... I just read a headline, and it said... Thanos is the main character of Avengers Infinity War. And at first I thought, well, that's clearly a typo. They mean he is a main character. And I know when I was thinking that, I'm thinking on the basis of, well, the MCU, if you're going to criticize it for anything, one criticism would be is that the villains are usually, I'd say 70% of the time, not really a main character. They're just another obstacle on the hero story arc that you're watching. But the really good Marvel movies, like Avengers, where Loki is a main character. I feel like the really good ones, the villain is a main character. So that's kind of what I thought it meant. But no, he is the main character. There are superheroes everywhere in this film, but the one person you're following along the entire movie.
It's kind of like you're watching like a video game where he goes from one place to one place to one place to one place.
And you see that with the nod at the end. They always have the so-and-so will return, and it was Thanos will return.
Which gave me chills in a weird, even though I was already getting ready to leave because long movie. I had to pee, and I was not going to get up in the middle of it.
I peed during... I forget what scene it was, but I was like, okay, I can do it real quick.
Right.
I could not pee both times I went.
And you were in the costume?
Yeah. It'd be kind of weird to ask a guy next to me, hey, will you unzip my
unzip my Spider-Man costume, sir. You gotta... and then we jump, I feel like, if I remember correctly, we go right to Scarlet Witch and Vision, who obviously they were romantically involved, especially if you know anything about the comics. So I know that was a shock to some people. They're like, what? When did this happen? When did the weird robot and the girl who's supposed to... Excuse me.
I mean,
everyone acts like
a year has passed, and you could see them developing a personal relationship with each other in Civil War.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it was no surprise to me, and especially if you knew that it was coming.
Well, it's been 2 years, since Civil War.
And then one thing I will say about this, and I know we talked about your impressions. You're maskless.
No more than.
Oh, okay. I had talked to you on the phone before I saw it, and you were just giving me your initial reactions without spoilers.
Yeah, we talked for a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long phone call.
Didn't feel like it, but yeah.
You said one of your complaints was you didn't much care. Maybe I'm misinterpreting. You didn't much care for a lot of the like Thanos' children or his henchmen.
I felt like their CGI was like really bad. Like I thought Thanos was
really
good.
Disagree.
I thought it was.
The only one that I didn't like was there was that one that looked like Hulk.
Yeah. And
I thought his CGI, if they can do Hulk that well, they could have done him way more better. And then there was, I think it was like Moon, whatever her name was.
Proxima Midnight.
She just looked completely CGI. Like they said someone famous was playing her.
Yeah.
See,
I can't remember who, but
I was nervous during the production of the movie because like they were already making it and they hadn't casted these people, and I was like, this is gonna be like the one. I'm not gonna care about these villains. I did though. I thought they did a good job with them.
Yeah,
they were henchmen done right.
Yes. I'm gonna say this: Ebony Maw, who was Squidward, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
He's one of the better Marvel villains they've ever had in the MCU.
Yeah,
I mean, which isn't much to look up to, but he was
cool.
creepy.
Yeah.
Like he could have stood on his own.
The scene where he's about to torture Doctor Strange is just. He was good. He was super, super good, and I love his cockiness. You don't see that out of. I mean, you see it out of a lot of villains, but like his cockiness, just going into a bad.
He was like really classy. He was almost like a. Go ahead and talk about salad fingers, Hunter.
Oh, okay.
If you couldn't tell, we had technical issues, but we're back. Hunter was talking about salad fingers.
Yeah, the guy that looked like Squidward looked like salad fingers.
Yeah,
that would have been one hell of a reference if they would have said that. I would have gotten up and like. Standing ovated that, and people would be like, sit the fuck down, you son of a bitch. But no, they just referenced salad fingers in a Marvel movie. This is the end of time. But anyway, we're not going to just completely go through the plot step for step. Basically, Thanos is on his quest to get every Infinity Stone, which takes us all over the place.
He does.
So if we want to just go through our favorite moments in the plot, you want to start off, Bo?
I can start off. Yeah, I think truly my favorite moment had to be when they're on Titan and they Tony formulates such a brilliant plan to shut down Thanos, and that entire fight scene / like the character.
Was it Tony?
I thought it was Star-Lord's plan. Didn't he say
plan?
this was
I
my
couldn't
plan?
remember which one.
It was Tony's.
He
said his whole plan that he wanted to do. Lure him there.
Yeah, he said that plan, and then Star-Lord does his little bit.
Took credit for the whole thing.
Yeah, and then took credit for the whole thing.
I couldn't remember exactly how that worked out. There's so much going on. But yeah,
Star-Lord is not smart enough to come up with that. Well, yeah, he is. But anyways, I just that whole fight scene and the way the plan worked out, literally just like it was them luring Thanos in and dropping a rocket on him, and then Thanos literally smashing a moon into Titan.
Shit was.
I mean, it was nuts, and you know what's happening. They almost have it off, and he finds out that Gamora's dead.
Which was one of the
and you're just sitting there in your seat saying, dude, stop, and obviously.
Do you blame him though? I mean,
no,
that dude has lost everything. His mom, his dad,
know.
the only woman he's ever loved,
and now Gamora,
and Yondu.
No, and I understand, and that's his character. That's just who he is. And that's why it was just perfect writing. But I think that was my favorite plot point.
I agree. I really like that scene. But it just, as Star-Lord's one of my favorite, if not my favorite character of the MCU, so I feel like him and Captain America. It was like, of course, it's the guy, it's Chris Pratt being the dumbass that ends up ruining everything. And I get why, but it's like, come on, man, this close. What was your favorite sequence? Alex?
Well, I really, really appreciated it. I think this was my favorite part of the movie. I liked a lot of the little stuff, little conversational things, especially the whole scene where the Guardians of the Galaxy meet Thor. I absolutely loved that. That was really hilarious, and I liked that whole scene.
I like Thor being in the bridge between cosmic and Earth.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that makes the most sense, especially since in the movies as opposed to the comics, Asgard's just another planet rather than being a realm.
Yes.
It makes sense, so I don't know why it took them this long to figure that out.
And I was gonna bring this up later, but I like your comment about the little things being. This movie was a comic book fan's wet dream. It felt like a comic book, and you had so many little things like Bucky holding Rocket and their interactions and
I'm
just
gonna get that arm.
Any scene where you could really see the effects of the Iron Spider costume and just there were so many little things that were just so cool to see on the screen where I was just sitting there like a kid in a candy store saying, I love my life. This is amazing. I'm so glad that I'm in this universe and not a universe where the comic book movies suck.
And then they all fucking
the DC universe?
Yes.
What was your favorite section of the movie?
My favorite part of the movie was legit. Okay, so you see Thor and
I cannot take you seriously with that.
Would you please shut the fuck up? Thank you. Okay, so there's the scene where Thor's getting his hammer and they're like, oh my god, where's the handle? And then Groot grabs it, chops off his arm, and all of a sudden you just see
You're right, that was
such
a good
little twitch, and then all of a sudden it goes back to Wakanda. Boom, he shows up and he's a badass.
That's my favorite moment is when Thor shows up with Rocket and Groot, and everyone's like,
so this is my friend,
and this is a rabbit. And Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner goes, "Oh, you guys are so screwed now," which was great.
That was good.
Mark Ruffalo in this movie
sold me. I was always kind of like, I don't really care.
I have a theory. He's a Skrull. That's why he couldn't transform into the Hulk.
That would be.
But he actually did transform into the Hulk.
I know. I realized that after I made the theory, but let me have this. Okay. How cool would that be?
I love the dialogue. I am Groot. I am Steve Rogers.
Yeah, I know.
That was great.
Every part.
But I also it's hard to pick a favorite. I do love that little moment when Rocket is talking. He's like, "Time to be the captain," and Thor's just sitting there crying, but he's trying to maintain his happy-go-lucky attitude. And he's like, "Everyone I know is dead," and he goes through the list of everyone that's ever died that he cares about. And you're like, "Oh, Poor Thor. I didn't realize how
Yeah.
bad his
Yeah.
life was till just now.
Yeah, that's true.
He's still got a good attitude, though.
And then he got his fake eye, which was smuggled up Rocket's ass.
Yeah.
All right, and so that was your favorite part.
Yeah, it was that or
Yeah.
when Thor shows up with Rocket. It was basically whatever Thor and Rocket.
They were great together, and I just every part of this was. Also underrated moment that's just hilarious is when they're working on Vision, and I remember her name, but Black Panther's sister.
Oh, sure.
It's like, oh, why didn't you just do this? Yeah. And Bruce is like the smartest dude, one of the smartest dudes in the universe, is just standing there because we didn't think of it.
That leads us into favorite character in this one.
Out of all 100 of them?
Yes. I know it's tough. Like I got a top 5, and it's not the top 5 I was expecting when I went into it.
I'll just go ahead and leave this one up. Thanos is my favorite. I expected going into this movie, all right, he's going to be the big bad dude that everybody's scared of that doesn't have a personality. And by the end, it's like, you're like, I kind of, he's not that bad. Like, his reasons aren't that bad. He's just an insane person.
You're kind of like, that everything's going to be undone for the most part.
Yes.
You're kind of like, I'm glad he won at the end because he's so devoted to this and he's got such good, he's not going to lose. He's so...
Should have went for the head.
Oh, dude.
Oh. God.
I had spider sense.
Anybody want to go watch it again after this?
Yeah, can we just cut the video short and go right now? My favorite was, not counting Thanos, because I feel like that's probably going to be most people's pick.
Yeah.
My favorite of the heroes was oddly Thor, who was one of the characters I always forgot existed during the rest of the movies.
I don't know. A lot of his, even though I loved him and Rocket when they were on the planet with huge Peter Dinklage, which by the way is hilarious.
Huge Peter Dinklage is actually my porn star name.
A lot of that time I was like, all right, get back to the fun stuff.
But it was still fun stuff.
It was fun, but yeah.
Imagine they couldn't even get away with a scene in DC, the universe, trying to make Batman work out. You're kind of just like, all right, whatever. But when Thor's making a hammer, and it's more entertaining than Batman getting training to kill Superman.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
yeah,
I hate to compare it to DC all the time, but it's kind of.
But it's so much.
It's
better.
a monopoly, and that's like comparing McDonald's to Burger King if they were the only two places to get burgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But yeah, that was. I guess if we're going non-Thanos characters, my favorite in this one. I know it's his low screen time, but I still just Peter. Spider-Man. I know
You're not.
I know the one in the. I know it was in the trailer, but when they're introducing themselves and he goes Peter Parker and he goes Doctor Strange. He's like, oh, we're using our weird made up names, Spider-Man.
Which, oddly enough, the second favorite character I had was Doctor Strange, who, like I said, I didn't care about.
He was fantastic too.
Him and Iron Man. And them going back and forth. I really like them. I liked Iron Man more in this movie than I think I ever have.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
So I think mine would go to Iron Man.
Okay.
And I actually do have something to say about Spider-Man. And I really like Tom Holland's portrayal of him as kind of like the innocent little kid. But I think the next time we see him, I would like to see him a little more confident, a little more snarky.
I think
with a little bit of sarcasm.
That'll be probably in his own movies. We start to see him grow.
Yeah.
Whereas this, we'll just see him.
That's not a flaw. I'm just saying. I would like to see more of that.
Well, he's super snarky when he's fighting people.
True.
Yeah.
True. I really liked him when he was
just always
fighting.
trying to impress the other heroes and be friends with them. Which I think if you were Spider-Man, you'd be too.
Oh, and of course,
is that the case? Am I right, Spider-Man?
What was the question?
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Like, just think about by the end of Avengers 4, he'll probably have experienced all this stuff, so he's going to be... his next movie, he's going to be super powerful, which I'm looking forward
God,
to.
who are they going to put in Homecoming, too? Which, by the way, comes out, I think, 2 months after Infinity War Part 2. Which I know they're not calling it, but it's Infinity War Part 2. Yeah. I think they didn't want to, spoil the end of this. I think they want people to be walking away from the movie theater just absolutely heartbroken and gut-wrenched.
I just don't see how they're going to market Avengers 4 after they've done all of the...
Can you imagine?
This is the culmination of the universe.
Can you imagine if they just did no trailer?
That would be stupid.
Unprecedented.
I think maybe
a poster.
They're going to put other new superheroes in it.
Well, Captain
Silver
Marvel,
Surfer.
obviously.
I don't know if they have
wonder if
those yet.
it's too soon. They don't. It takes like 19 months
Too
for that
soon
deal
for-
to go,
Oh, really?
for the Fox deal to go through.
Oh, I thought you meant Captain Marvel.
Oh, no,
I was like,
I
after
assumed
the
Captain
credit
Marvel
scene,
definitely
she is
can be in.
obviously in this.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Hunter,
she's the key,
I'm assuming
man.
your favorite character is Spider-Man.
No, that's my second.
Okay, who's your favorite? I just want to get it away before we
We had a conversation in the car about this. It was Thor. I said it first. And
Yeah,
you
we
take
didn't
it
have the
from-
microphone and the cameras in the car.
I did, but that was
Oh, for
other
different
reasons.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we jump into like Avengers 4?
let's
while we're
just
on the
go
topic,
into
or-
any cons we have real quick. I don't think there's gonna be too many. I feel feeling Alex is gonna be the bitch.
No,
Nice.
I have a couple.
I don't have a con.
I have a couple, but I can't.
I have a
remember
few.
them right now.
They were big at first, but now they're not as big.
I might have cons walking away from my second viewing, but I don't have the ability, like when I watch stuff like this, to walk away after the first viewing and being like,
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have so
I
much
just-
to absorb.
well, yeah, you're absorbing it all. I was absorbing it all and be like, this is all amazing, and I can't believe I'm watching this.
Yeah.
So you want to get into your cons real quick?
I just have a few. One of the smallest ones that I have, but it did kind of bother me, was I felt like Captain America got almost not nearly as much screen time as he deserved.
Yeah.
So, I was going to bring this up when we talked about Avengers 4.
Okay.
But, so, I had that thought during the final battle of, man, you know, for this being like Tony and Steve's like finale, they have not been on the screen watching it.
No,
You
yeah.
don't know for sure.
Well, yeah, no, here's what I'm saying, though. And that's what made me realize Avenger 4, did you notice who's left after the snap? It's
Like,
the
most of the
original.
originals, but then you got like Rocky
Yeah,
and Cody
it's
and stuff
it's
like that.
it's the most of the originals. And that's why I'm like watching. I'm like, I assumed in the final battle Tony would die and Steve would die, and I was getting pissed. I was like, really, this is their bow out? But yeah, it was all setting up where Avengers 4 is going to be their last ride, and it's going to be all about those characters, and I'm just so happy. So like, I understand your complaint,
Yeah.
but seeing big picture, I think we're going to be happy about how this played out.
I was agreeing with you as the movie was going on, but
Exactly.
realizing they're still alive at the end and they're probably going to be the main
Right,
characters in the second
right.
one. It's impossible to look at this movie as its own movie.
No,
It's not its own movie.
it's a part one.
Like, you can't judge this
Yeah.
movie as a
I mean,
singular movie.
it's strange because I didn't expect it to be either.
Right.
But I still
I did.
feel like Captain America could have just had a little bit
and
more.
they tricked me completely because with taking the part 2 off of it, I thought they officially changed their plan to make Infinity War Avengers 3 and then a Skrull invasion Avengers 4. But no, you can see clearly they just didn't. I think them renaming Avengers 4, or not renaming it, but like making it not Infinity War Part 2, is definitely a marketing ploy to get people's heads in a different place than it would be going into this movie.
What other flaws did you have? Just real quick.
Right after I came out of the movie, I had a kind of big issue, but I think I've thought about it some more, and it's not as big of a deal for me anymore. But throughout the movie, I was kind of contemplating in my head what exactly the logic of Thanos' plan was, whether or not it made a lot of sense, or if I understood why he was trying to do the things he did. I think the movie could have benefited from a little bit more showing us why he thinks this. Maybe some like flashback scenes. I know
we had a
flashback scenes aren't always the best thing, but I think it would have benefited in this case because all we really got was dialogue.
Yeah.
Telling
off
us.
camera, me and Alex have had a lot of debates about this. I know Hunter was very upset when he heard Alex. Because at first, Alex's reaction to this movie was not very positive.
It was because of that though. It's because when I was thinking about the movie as a whole, I was thinking what was the one thing that kind of held me back from really getting invested in it. And it was because I was just kind of wondering what the heck Thanos was thinking. I thought it was a really dumb idea. I didn't know why it was happening, why he was doing what he was doing, but I've thought about it and it makes sense enough now.
You've told me and Alex, or me and Hunter, I want you to shock Bubba. What was your original grade for the movie? I know we don't.
When I first
we're
came
not
out,
gonna
I was kind of emotions were flying high. I gave it a 70 out of 100 when I first came out.
If I would have been around you, I would have called you so many names.
I was
But
just
I've-
like,
None of them
shocked.
nice.
I wasn't
I-
even like mad. Was just
I
like,
walked out.
what?
Well, see, when the employee showing we went to, I was like the only one talking after because everybody else was just shell shocked about what happened, and I was like, because I was like, I just kind of, you figure all this is going to get reversed.
Yeah.
Comic book fans do anyways,
Yeah.
I think. But just, I was like, I am so glad they actually took a risk instead of just, like, having the good guys win again. Like,
Someone I was watching on YouTube said something interesting. They're like, if you reverse this and you imagine Thanos is the good guy and everyone else is a villain, the hero wins at the end, which is interesting. Like, all the villains are defeated, Thanos wins at the end, but he's the villain. But he's the hero to him. Like, to him, he's the hero.
Yes.
Which is such an interesting thing. And me and Alex will talk more about it. He's more on board with Thanos's...
Can I explain myself first? Because I feel like everyone's going to think I'm an idiot.
No,
just
I mean,
saying
yeah, if you can do it, like...
I'll do it really quickly. I didn't see how... Or really... I understood what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many people...
Right.
And there's not enough resources to go around for these many people. Right. So if you get rid of half the people, we got a long time before we're running out of resources again. But I was thinking, why would any not just good person, because I know Thanos is the villain, but any smart person who understands how things work, I just didn't see how he thought that would be a solution at all. I thought that would cause more problems and solutions, even for a villain who knew anything he was doing. I thought, I mean, this guy he knows what it's like to have loved people die. Doesn't he realize that killing off half people at random, and also he doesn't know what planets people will die on. Planets where people have plenty enough resources, half of them are still going to die. Planets where people have so few resources that if half of them die, they still won't have enough. I mean, I think if he was being more methodical about it, and maybe
Here's the thing.
Maybe if this movie,
a superhero movie, and you're taking it like it's actual
I know,
science.
but I think I could have gotten behind it a little bit more if it would have shown us a little bit more actual personal reasons why he thought that, and actually really illustrated to us why.
It showed his homeworld being destroyed.
I agree
and then
with
he
you.
told you why he thinks this, because of all the planets he's been doing this to, it's worked every single time. He tells Gamora her home planet has become a paradise since he did it. He's like, he doesn't care about your
but
personal...
it's a big jump from a single planet where he sees that there's limited resources
but this is his
to
master
just snap
plan.
his fingers and have
He's
him
also a psychopath. He's a genius, but he's psycho. He's not evil. He's doing this because this is what he thinks is right. It doesn't have to make sense because in real life there's no talking trees and genetically altered raccoons.
Also, like, to say that he couldn't make it exactly half the people on every planet die is absurd. If he can destroy half the universe in the snap of his fingers, I'm pretty sure he has the ability to discern who he's killing. I mean, I can't believe you're about to make me argue on Thanos' side. It's the most fair way to save resources. Obviously, he's a psychopath.
I mean, he could have just said
maybe
unlimited food, but he's also a psychopath.
Shit.
or maybe
yeah, you're right.
Because it's just he's so devoted to this idea, which makes sense.
And I'm cool.
But he refuses to like alter it in any way, which is why he's a villain, not a superhero.
I'm fine with that. Maybe it's not so much he needs to have a reason to... His reason has to be justified. Because he's a villain. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the unjustifiable evil, right?
But he's not evil.
Maybe they could have shown us a little bit more of how it's a problem. Because we never saw, even in all his
Even a 4-hour
dialogues.
movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it would have lent a little bit to the...
I thought
I don't know.
His motivation he expressed perfectly fine. I haven't heard anyone. In fact,
I wish I would have seen.
I've heard everyone say that he's the best, like one of the best comic book villains of all time.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not. I think he's amazing. Don't get me wrong when I say that. I think Thanos is awesome.
That if you don't like see his motivation.
Also,
because I think he was an intimidating.
He's going to be
What'd
a
you say,
farmer.
Bob?
I would like to raise a point.
Go ahead and raise your point.
I forgot it.
Are you fucking kidding?
Well, I was trying to talk and
I'm sorry.
Forgot.
He's gonna be a farmer in the
Yeah, I mean, if they spend more time trying to make you agree with him necessarily, then you're getting to a point where you are starting to see his point a little too much.
I'm not expecting to agree with him.
You don't want to be on the supervillain's side.
Exactly.
I think maybe my problem boils down to his motivation and his reason why he's killing half of the life in the universe, which is a big thing to do. People don't do that all the time.
Not if you don't know people.
He says that in one sentence. There's not enough resources to go around. I have to kill people.
That's all.
I would have liked to see that there weren't enough resources.
What do you want? A documentary? You want Planet Earth?
Do you look at the world we live in? I thought it was a very smart idea considering we do live in an overpopulated world already. I think it was a fantastic idea to center a movie around this.
Okay.
All the evidence you need in the movie, just look outside.
I guess you're right. Maybe I'm overthinking it. That's probably right.
Probably.
Definitely.
Yes.
You are overthinking it.
Guys, another line to make you go, oh my god, I want to see this movie again that I was thinking of during this. During the one scene where they're on Titan when they're all attacking him, and it looks like they finally got to him, and he just is bleeding a little bit, and he just looks at him and he goes, all that for one drop of blood.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
When Iron Man is fighting him, and parts of his armor are breaking off, so he uses other parts to compensate for what he needs to fight.
When
that was great.
that whole scene when you think Tony Stark's about to die and he gets stabbed, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And his helmet's half hanging off. It was it reminded me of the old Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, because every time his face gets ripped, and I'm just like, this is so good. So I know we were talking about it earlier, but let's briefly get into the thoughts for the future.
Fourth one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So my main thought is obviously this is going to be a more. If people had a problem with there being approximately 320 characters in this one, they're gonna be happy with Avengers 4 because it's gonna be a very tight knit group. With
so we assume.
Yeah, well,
they fix it in the
no,
first
I'm
20
just
minutes.
saying this is my
Right.
This is my thing. I think the keys are gonna be Captain Marvel, and obviously it was a very strong hint towards what was happening when Doctor Strange is disintegrating.
Oh, who keeps calling it?
I just hope it's not Ty.
I hope
'cause he
Ty
hasn't
just
seen
keeps opening the door and then hearing that we're still talking about it,
well-
and then closes the door.
Yeah. But anyways, when he's disintegrating and he says it was the only way, Tony, and
he's got a plan.
you go back to he watched 14 million scenarios, and he watched the only one where they win, and so he knows what happened. So he probably saw, I need to give him the time stone.
And he's their ace in the hole too. And I was like, for a second I didn't think they were gonna have him fade away. I'm like, really? You're gonna keep him alive, directors? He's the one guy that knows how to win, but then he dies. So you're kind of like, what next? He kind of lost the one person that knows exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it was hilarious. My mind was going so many different places during the after credit scene, and so when they go to the car that wrecked, when Nick Fury and Maria Hill walk over, I'm like, it was Ant-Man. Ant-Man was driving the car because there's nothing there, and then I was like, wait, no, this is just when Thanos snapped his fingers.
Right. Speaking of which, we've got 2 movies before Avengers 4. And they're both taking place before Avengers 4.
Yeah,
or before Avengers 3.
Ant-Man takes place 2 months before,
right,
and Captain Marvel's in the 90s.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't see, there was a little mini trailer. There's a trailer tomorrow coming out for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, really?
And the little thing said, "Where were they?" During the.
What if the end is them?
So I was thinking, what if that
Maybe
after the credit scene,
maybe post-credit scenes, them just chilling, and then
Ant-Man
Wasp
disappears.
Want to know a hilarious thought?
I finally have a girlfriend. Finally, a wife that's not going to leave me, and then she just disintegrates, and he's like,
Guys, hilarious thought. Some 40-year-old virgin finally about to have sex, and he goes to start, and then the girl starts disintegrating.
So you want Steve Carell to play that part?
Yeah, how funny would...
How
funny was it? I'm not saying in a movie. Just look at the whole universe when this is happening. That had to at least happen once.
I met poor Jerry Smith from Rick and Morty. Finally got that promoted, and then he just disappears.
Yeah.
Or everyone disappears.
Yep.
Everyone left as a Jerry, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
that was...
Here's the future.
all right.
Here's
The future. The future is now. And
There's 2 options.
Okay.
Mine's mainly about Gamora and Nebula, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I know we've talked about this.
Yes. Okay, so the Infinity Stone, everyone's saying that Gamora has to come back, but I'm thinking she won't because her life was used for an Infinity Stone. So either someone takes her place or she's gone forever.
People have talked to me. I think Loki and Gamora are gone for good. And I think on the way to getting the universe back how it should be, Tony may live. Captain America's definitely going to die.
I'm opposite.
Well, here's my thoughts. Tony could still have a Nick Fury type role in the future movies where he kind of just does cameos and whatever. I think Captain America has to die, so either Sam or Bucky. can take the mantle. Probably Bucky can take the mantle of Captain America for future movies.
Right.
And yeah, I'm just excited to see.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird because
I'm excited to see what the new crew is going
Right.
to look like for Avengers 5 with
They just call it the new Avengers. That's what I think they do.
Oh. Well, I mean, obviously
Interesting,
Black
for
Panther
sure.
is going to be the leader. Black
got
Panther,
Doctor Strange,
Bucky,
Spider-Man.
Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man, yeah.
probably Falcon, I assume, will still be around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think War Machine will be.
And then 5 years after that, they'll
I
add
hope
in
Don
Fantastic
Cheadle
Four
just
next
dies.
one.
Just kidding.
I think Gamora in this movie sacrificing herself to Nebula was half of a character arc. Like Gamora, I think they both are very on the same paths, and I think she has completed her arc. So now Nebula has to complete hers, and I think there's going to be an opportunity in the fourth one for Nebula to take Gamora's place in being the one that Thanos sacrifices somehow. Maybe her soul is in the Soul Stone, and somehow Gamora comes back. I find it hard to believe Gamora's gone since she's such a big part of.
I'm so scared Ty's going to walk in the middle of this.
But since she's such a big part of the Guardians movies,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine, I don't know, it's just weird to think that anyone that is not around anymore.
I know, but I think
Everyone
do
that
have to
fades
die.
away is coming back.
Yes.
I think it's
Gamora the people that
one,
actually-
Loki, I think, is actually gone. Gamora is the one
Heimdall
I'm
is
not
obviously
sure about.
gone.
Yeah,
Because he got a hammer that can teleport him anywhere now.
right. You don't need Heimdall. Gamora is the one where it's you really want to see where that goes with Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what the hell was Red Skull doing there?
I liked it.
It was cool,
I
but it was
I would love. You know how they do they've done in the past 20-minute shorts, almost like Pixar does, but for Marvel. Wouldn't you just love to see a 20-minute short that picks up right after Red Skull gets sucked into the Tesseract,
Yeah.
and you get to watch kind of his journey to him looking for the Soul Stone, inevitably becoming the Grim Reaper?
Well, I just had a weird
Yeah.
idea. What if in the fourth one we see that Grim Reaper type? I thought it was Lady Death for a second. I think it was.
It was me. It was me.
No, it
So
wasn't
one of us
me.
talked
Mistress.
When I
Is it
said
Mistress
Mistress
Death?
Death
It was
for
a
just a
dude.
brief second, I was like, maybe his cloak. What if when we get they go back there and instead of Red Skull, or maybe there's two and one of them's Gamora, and then somehow they can. I don't know. It was just kind of weird that it was Red Skull. It could have been anyone, but I think it was.
Well,
kinda
no, but it made sense
was fan-
when
I
you
think
look
it was
at the whole.
fan,
Well, yeah, but it makes sense when you look at the whole universe. Red Skull gets sucked. This power-hungry dude gets sucked into the Tesseract, sending him anywhere in space, and of course he's going to look for more Infinity Stones. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people being, "No, that was weird." It was weird. It was
but in a good
weird.
way.
Yeah.
It
But
was a weird, in a 70s
it was a
comic
cool
book way.
thing. Yeah, it was something. And that's
is
what
what
I'm
this is
saying.
becoming.
I feel like we keep on saying it because the MCU is doing a better job of it. This movie felt like they did the best job out of any comic book movie. It felt like you were reading a comic book while you're watching it, and it just gets. They're doing it more and more because we said this when Spider-Man came out. We said it when Thor came out. Not really with Black Panther, but that was a different type of movie.
We didn't review Black Panther on this channel.
Well, I know, but
It's
we talked about it. But you know what I mean? They just keep on doing better and better at it. And who would have thought that the why can't I think of their name? The
Brothers?
the Russo brothers would be
From
the ones
Community to
to perfect making a movie feel like you're reading a comic book.
yeah, I think the future directors, we talked about the future characters. I think the future directors that need to be a mainstay are the Russo brothers, James Gunn and Taika Waititi, and
Who directed Spider-Man?
Some guy.
Well, I'm into that.
I
guy.
was trying to who directed Creed and Black Panther. He's great.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
He would be really cool. What's another superhero that we think we could introduce that could have a cool Black Panther like that movie feel?
Feminist.
No,
Well,
but seriously, I
if,
think there's.
if we continue to do the Thor and Hulk and all that, it was like a team up movie. If we can do that, get Bucky and Black Panther together. Have Ryan
Exactly.
Coogler do that.
Well, I've always said that when you're first doing a universe, you can either have solo movies and team ups, but eventually once you're established, you can just do that. You can
Right.
just team up multiple heroes for
Yeah.
a movie.
Well, they
And
did all the way
Spider-Man:
back
Homecoming was
with
that.
Winter Soldier when he had
Iron
Cap and Black Widow.
Yeah, Iron Man and Spider-Man in Homecoming, kind of.
Hulk and Thor. Just keep going with that. Like
it's cool. I
it's-
mean,
it's
you can
cool to
still
see
have
weird
standalones.
team-ups
You can
and
still
how they
have
work together.
standalones.
Oh yeah.
But
It depends on the character. Like I personally don't. I'm not super excited for Ant-Man and Wasp. I'm excited to see Wasp more than I am to see Ant-Man.
and I am really excited just because at this point I will worship
the altar of Marvel.
I will worship. Why can't I think his name?
Paul Rudd.
No, the head of the MCU.
Oh, Kevin
Kevin
Feige.
Feige.
Yeah, I will.
Paul
I
Feige.
worship Kevin Feige because everything he touches. I don't think there was a bad movie in Phase 3. Phase 1, I don't think the first Thor was great.
So is this the end of Phase 3? That we still got up until Avengers 4 to end Phase 3.
Yes,
right?
but I'm just saying, like,
I was
in
just
general,
making sure.
Phase 1, Thor is only okay,
I like
and
the better
Avengers is
Thor
it was
2
awesome at the time, but it's only okay.
Very dated.
Phase 2, I mean, Age of Ultron is pretty good. It's better than Avengers.
Iron Man 2 back in Phase 1 is not very good either.
I like it.
I like it too. But it's just not very good.
You're right. Iron Man 3, I got to rewatch, so I'm not going to comment on that because I
very
think
much enjoyed
when I
Iron Man 3.
didn't like it, it was just because I was throwing a tantrum because the Mandarin wasn't right. I was like, 15-year-old me was like everybody who didn't like The Last Jedi. So,
a major bitch.
yeah, exactly. But Phase 2, Thor: The Dark World was the only movie in the MCU that's ass.
It's the
But
only movie
Phase
that I
3,
haven't seen. Still.
don't see it.
Okay. I don't plan on
Thor, the Phase 3 has pretty much been perfection. Like you pick up right from Age of Ultron into kicking off Phase 3 with Civil War. It was awesome. You just they've kept going and everything has been fantastic.
I watched back to back because I was trying to catch up with Karis because she hadn't seen Age of Ultron or Civil War, and she went with us to see it yesterday. I watched Age of Ultron, then the next day I watched Civil War, and then the next day I saw Infinity War.
So you
I can't
saw
tell you how
Avengers
great-
2, 2.5, and 3.
Yeah. They flow so well together. It's like unbelievable.
And I was reading online about this too, and I saw somebody say this universe started 10 years ago with a super grounded like storyline that we buy into, and I think this has been integral to how amazing the fan base has been for Avengers, reaching out to people that don't just like comics.
Right.
They make everything believable in Phase 1, where you have like I was watching Iron Man last night, like I told you guys earlier, and everything is so grounded, and they make everything seem realistic, and that's why you get a record-breaking box office opening for a movie that is completely in space. The main villain is an alien who, the Infinity War storyline is so far out, and everybody buys it because of the way they constructed their universe. And I think that's so.
Yeah, it went from like superhero campy or like trying to be realistic, kind of hot up the heels of The Dark Knight, to 70s sci-fi psychedelic weird stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is the best.
Exactly.
They were like, let's start out, let's ease everyone into it.
And they had a plan, and that's
So we've sung the
Final
praises
thought?
of this movie quite enough.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts? I think Bubba just said final thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal it from you. Final
Okay,
thought.
final thoughts.
No, final thought.
If I'm gonna grade it, it's 10 out of 10. I can't really think of any reasons that this movie isn't perfect. Yes,
What's more? than
but
enough?
I can't give a final grade until May 3rd of next year,
Right.
because the story's not over.
My final thought is, it was also my final thought as the credits rolled. I'm looking around. Are kids crying in here? Like,
Yeah.
imagine being a little kid that just doesn't get it. Doesn't know. Obviously, this is gonna all be undone for the most part, and that see you in 365
I almost cried
days.
watching Spider-Man fade away, going, "Please, I don't want to go, sir." Saying "sir" to Tony
I just
Stark.
don't understand how anyone could, like, if you were a kid. I just think you're a bitch now if you're saying that. I'm just kidding. I'm
Okay.
messing with you. But I just thought, do you think it would have been a more effective ending if you knew that these people aren't going to come back?
All right.
Like, if you knew these people are going to come back and it wasn't.
No,
Do you
it's
think
not effective. It's less effective because, I think a lot of people left the theater thinking, "Oh my God,
Groot's dead. For real this time.
oh my God!" When Rocket is digging through the ashes trying to find a little stem.
Oh, I know. I saw that.
It makes
Yeah.
you wonder how he'd come back. Would he come back as a baby Groot again?
No, I think everybody will come back. I mean, the key is the time stone, I think. So,
Here's a question. Just final question for everyone. and we'll leave the viewers with this. And if you are watching, comment, see what you think. How much time is going to pass between 3 and 4? Do you think? Do you think
Seconds.
2 seconds? Or did you say seconds?
Seconds.
Okay.
I think it will pick up with Thanos watching the sunrise or sunset. I don't know.
I think it was sunrise, but I don't know.
I'm gonna say a couple days. They gotta have a little bit of.
You don't think
they have to have a
years or
new
anything?
setup?
You're not gonna. They're not gonna pull up between episode 4 and 5 or 5.
I don't
and 6.
think so. But
I
I mean,
don't
I wouldn't be
think so,
surprised. But I'd say a couple days.
You
later.
don't see
Maybe a week.
seeing the effects of what Thanos has done on the planet. Like everyone's still depressed, but it's actually thriving on Earth. I think that.
I don't think they
that
would
would
go
be
that direct. It would
that'd
be interesting,
Strange.
but
I don't think so. I think I'm on the same page as you guys. I think it's going to start maybe a month at most later, like trying to figure out. But well, I think that's high. So let's end it.
I have a final thought to
go
say
ahead.
before. I think it was the best of the 3 Avengers movies. That's just.
duh. It's the only one that the Russo brothers did. Well, Civil War, but it was a spectacle, and it's definitely the
My favorite movie of all time, 10-10.
10-10.
best movie in the MCU so far.
I'm not going to go that far. It's in my top
I need to
5 for
rewatch
sure.
it. I need to
But
rewatch
I do too. I've only seen it once. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, unsubscribe if you want. Dislike.
Listen
Delete
to my
comments you made
fire
before we posted.
School's
songs
out.
on Spotify or the
Yeah,
SoundCloud.
school's out for the summer, so we think we're actually going to be doing this summer.
We all dropped out of college just to do this. for the rest
I
of
still
our
have
lives.
school.
Did you guys hear something?
Ty's sitting there, plugging his ears at the top of the stairs. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.